I just lost you guys. Are you live?
Yep, we're here.
Sorry, I lost my.
Okay, well, we start with the stuff.
Hi, everyone. I can see you now. We have a pre-show. I've been out bike riding, so my face looks all red. This is what I look like when I exercise, which is rare.
Yeah, I went walking in the park yesterday. It was a foreign experience, and I'll never do it again. Go ahead, Russ.
So, as we're speaking today at 1:13, which is on time for us, on the Buzzcast, WrestleMania 36 is still a go. Now, here's the update I have for you, and I wrote about it on Sportsology, but I went to Ticketmaster yesterday. You could still buy tickets, so they're not sold out, but they're still selling them, which is crazy. So, and yesterday I tweeted out that P.T. Barnum would be proud. So we hear little rumblings out of Tampa that, well, they're going to shut it down if Vince McMahon doesn't shut it down. But Vince McMahon hasn't shut it down. So I came up with an alternate storyline so that he can tonight on Monday Night Raw. And there wasn't a wrestler once, Mike Rotunda, who played IRF, Erwin R. Shyster. And I said, you have him come in and have him be CDC. And you have him come in and give Triple H, whatever move you want, swinging neck breaker, suplex, whatever you want his move to be, and do the same to Vince McMahon. And then you shut it down. You shut down WrestleMania. You get points of the sign falls and breaks, smash into a million pieces, and you say WrestleMania is now postponed. And that's, to me, that's as much as we're probably going to get out of the WWE, since they can't seem to act like a real business and put out like a real notice to say, hey, we're postponing this because we care about your health. It is kind of crazy, Anthony.
I mean, I don't even think it should even require that, but it is athletic theater, as we call it.
Well, we do know that Donald Trump is a member of the WWE Hall of Fame, so maybe he can stage some sort of coup and make sure that Vince McMahon doesn't put the show on.
But it's an early April event, and at this point, how could the business not actually announce that it's canceled? Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, I don't get it at all.
Are they going to hold it with no fans?
No, they'll probably postpone it and say it'll be at a different date. They could do it with no fans.
Could it be that Vince is holding on to the money until he absolutely necessarily has to refund it, and he's gathering the interest on a daily basis?
It is possible.
I'm sure that's exactly what it is.
It is possible, Mike. But all of these things, it's like I made up this ridiculous storyline because this is actually a real business. This is actually a business that's on the stock market, that has stockholders. And to me, every other reasonable sport, whatever you want to call it, has acted the right way, right? They've all canceled it. They've already put out plans. They've already talking about what the new plans are. This is the only one that is not talking about what they're going to do other than just have their TV shows not be in front of audiences. That's the only thing that's different. And it's like, I just hope that at some point tonight they actually do make a real announcement. But if they did it the way I said it, I would just say that's the WWE, and I guess that's the way you get it.
Mm-hmm. It's the most absurd thing.
It really is.
It's amazing that we're even discussing it. I mean, honestly, it's like it does bring up like a whole lot of interesting things. Something hockey related. So we'll still do it in the show. And I had a question for you guys about the playoffs and stuff like that, which we'll bring up and how they're going to do that, or how they could possibly do it. What I heard something today that is kind of interesting. So we might have a little bit of news. Whatever.
Well, we can talk about what the NHL released in terms of the players and allowing them to go back home and the effect that might have. I mean, I wrote about it this morning, and I have my own opinion. This, we'll start the show here, but
let's start the show from here and we'll go from there. Okay, cool. All right, ready?
Let's go.
Date is the 16th. Hello, Hockey World. It's Monday, March 16th, 2020.
I'm Michael Agello, and I'm almost sick of watching reruns of Law and Order.
I'm Anthony Mangione from Sunrise Philly Magazine.
Russ Cohen, Sportsology.com, still writing and landscaping. Going to bake tonight, too.
And selling a book.
Selling a book.
And I'm Eklund. You're watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. Russ's book, Baseball's Best Rookies.
On a hockey show.
Be delivered.
Never pass up
Free
another
here.
hockey game.
It's out soon, Anthony. I'll have that in like 2 days, and I'll be pouring that out. Thank you.
Yes.
Of course.
Delivered these free to your home. So hope you guys are all safe out there, and hope everybody's doing okay. It's I know we if you're not watching us, then it's just kind of insulting that we can't get your attention for 1 hour right now.
Well, we
You should be able to get your attention for 1 hour basically right now.
You sound like my mother now.
We are the only show in town because I was surprised Hockey Central was not on NHL Network today and not on the radio. So
Really?
yes,
Maybe we should go to noon. Let's do that. Let's go to noon then. I always didn't want to go against them, but I think since people are used to watching hockey at noon, let's go to noon from now on.
I mean it might be a one-day thing. I'm not sure.
Look, tomorrow we'll do real noon.
Yeah, we'll do actually start at noon on time. But we're happy to see you all and thank you all for coming. It's been interesting. Like I've gotten, I don't know, more social interaction with Twitter and Instagram than I've ever gotten. Like recently, people are definitely home and looking for stuff to do. And I said to him, I was trying to describe the feeling. I think we were all like, it's all this so bizarre. Everybody just walking around outside, the whole family being together, all the time. Which is fun, but as I'm like the entertainment type guy that I've got to make sure everybody's happy in the house. I've got to turn that off because I'm making myself nuts. Like I'm trying to make my kids. Are you guys having fun? You guys having fun? Let's do this. Da, 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 da. And it's like eventually I'm going to just burn myself out completely.
Oh yeah.
Did you do that too, Anthony?
Oh, trust me. For me right now. I mean, my kids have their school has at home. They're doing virtual learning at home, so they actually have a curriculum. They actually have. They're taking a little break now, but I've been basically, principal, teacher, and everything this morning, and had to get them out of the house, get some air.
It's like hard to describe what it feels like. I said it feels like our house has been transported to someplace else. Like that's the best I can describe it. Like it feels like, like we've shifted back to like 1978. Our whole house and neighborhood, because and I was trying to explain to kids, we didn't have that. This is kind of what life was like a little bit more, like we didn't have, but save the Netflix and all the stuff that they can watch, obviously.
You're basically saying our life sucked before 2000.
No, we just had a lot of time on our hands.
We had to be more creative. We had to basically have many choices. So I always feel like, that we now are able to, we had imaginations like you're like you tweeted this morning, Russ, about doing whatever, dead man on a bike, whatever the hell that was this morning.
I'll explain that. Hold on, I'll explain that.
You need to explain that to everybody. For
There's a fat man in a little coat from.
No. There was a tweet out there that said like, what was something great that you did as a kid? And they probably should have put great in parentheses. So one of the things was, you had this dead man bike ride. I had a big tree in front of my house. And what you did was like with your 10-speed, we all had 10 speeds at that point. You basically ride your 10-speed with no hands, right? You go as fast as you can. You grab the branch from this older tree that's probably like 3 feet higher than what you are on the bike. So you can reach it. You grab the branch and you just let your bike go down the block unattended as a dead man ride. And so we used to do that. And we stopped doing that when my brother slipped and he fell back first on the ground. And he's fine. He's never been hurt from that.
He's fine.
But it was great up to that point.
Sounds like the beginning of It's a Wonderful Life.
Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine.
This is what we do in Massapequa, guys, for fun.
Right.
I'm the kid that when I did that with my 10-speed, I rode it without holding the handles. I hit a rock and went far. And brush burned my entire leg.
I'll tell you one that was worse. You want to know what was worse? We used to have an above ground pool, and we saw the movie Rollerball with James Caan. If you remember that movie.
Oh yeah.
So what we did was we would start a tidal wave in the pool. You basically, you go the opposite direction and you get the current going, right? And we had a basketball court in the pool, like a basket. And so when we had the wave going the right way, we would start playing, and you could only swim in the same direction as the way the water was going. And basically, it was no holds barred to score. We had teams, so you could grab somebody by the head, you could dunk them, whatever. And that was great until one day some guy got a bloody nose, and I think my dad saw it or whatever, and he's bleeding in the pool, and that ended that game. But that was a good couple weeks.
All fun and games till someone loses something.
Yeah, right. All right, let's talk about fun and games. Meanwhile, fun and games, the sport that we love, the sport that we cover, the reason the four of us would ever talk to each other at all.
Right.
Hockey. the only reason I would ever speak to each other.
It's good to know how you feel, anyhow.
At least that's how I feel. You know, I mean, you guys might like me for other reasons, but I only like you guys because. All right, so I was listening today to the radio, and then I heard them talk about how they're going to maybe come back. Like like the NBA is at least a month off. The NHL hasn't said that yet. The NHL is usually has followed suit. I think that. The CDC comes out, 2 months with less than 50 people. That's a big deal. I think that plays into everything for sure.
Well,
that could think, and I talked to somebody there, not at the CDC, but I talked to somebody who works at Merck, who is in touch because I basically live in a suburb of Merck right here, which is a big pharmaceutical. So everybody that I know that lives on my street works for Merck except for me. So
I played on their softball fields.
Okay. Okay, there you go. Are they nice?
Yes, they're very nice.
It's a country. Merck's a country. It's got its own. I'm in a suburb of it. So talking to people at Merck and they, people at the CDC, they all say that that 2 month thing is definitely smart, what they should do. But they question whether or not it could be shortened. And there's starting to be a thought that you should throw out larger numbers and come back versus smaller numbers and go out. Like like people saying we're going to go off for 2 weeks and then we're going to miss 6 weeks. Let's just say we're going to miss 2 months and then maybe we miss 6 weeks. That would be better. To say, okay, we could do that.
And it was 500 3 days ago, and now it's 50.
Right. So I mean, there's all different kinds of things, and no one knows. And the idea is we just have to stay away from each other, which is which fortunately we can all do, and I enjoy.
Yeah, I have no problem staying away from you guys.
No, I have no problem staying away from anybody. Honestly, that's how I feel. So
I've made it a life's practice.
I'm such an extrovert. Okay, so. The NHL, when they do come back, though, and Russ and I had this interesting kind of discussion on chatting the other day. We were talking about, when they come back, how they would maybe do it. And I had talked to somebody at the Flyers, and they had told me that they could play games at the skate zone, like actual NHL games. And as opposed to, because it really doesn't make any sense if you're not going if you're going to come back and not play to people, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense financially to open up the Wells Fargo Center and do it. Right. Like you can as long as you can put a camera in place, a couple cameras in place, and film the thing so you can broadcast the TV, obviously, it would be more interesting, they think, more exciting for the players to do it like a men's hockey league, essentially. Find your local rink, and that has some stands in it that the media, I'm assuming, maybe they would let the media sit in or something like that, and there's little bleachers that they have at all the ice hockey rinks around the neighborhood, and play the games there play actual games there.
I give you the only downside. When the NHL just came out with the statement that said they're going to have a training camp, they're hoping to have it in 45 days.
Right.
To me, that denoted they're not giving up the regular season.
Yeah.
Which to me is ridiculous. They should give up the regular season. And so my thought is, why would I have the team play at the skate zone if they're going to have a regular season?
Well, if you're going to have, obviously, if you're able to have people, that's pointless, right? But if you're not going to play in front of anybody, opening up the Wells Fargo Center and doing it there is incredibly expensive, and it's just kind of like you're not getting any money because you don't
everything that's involved with that. I there's something to that, Ek. I agree.
Well, I think before 45 days that makes sense, but if they're waiting the 45 days, which then again it's longer for the season to occur, I have to believe they're going to think they could open the Wells Fargo and not do that. My whole thing is, why are they intent on finishing the regular season? I think that's the biggest problem here.
Because I think what's going on here, their intention in terms of the regular season is you've got teams that have played 68 games and teams. No, I know on that. But let me finish my point. That for the sake of quote fairness, to get everybody to the same amount of games so they can have a 16-team playoff. I think you're wasting time. Why don't you just expand the playoffs to 20 to 24 teams and do it that way? Now, do they think that that's bastardizing the season? Well, I'm sorry. Right now, with the exigent
society has been bastardized. Hot news flash.
Right.
Yeah, there's no.
I think every season is a good season.
Yeah,
we're not. I think it comes down to money. I think that's all it comes down to. I think that they want to. They don't want to give money back. They have these teams. They've already spent the season ticket money that they've gotten for these games, right? So obviously, all they'll do is, they're never going to see a check. They're going to be like, we'll apply it towards next year or whatever. That's what will happen.
But to be fair, Ek, all right, let's just take a market like Ottawa. If they come back how many fans are really going to want to go to games at this point? There's nothing.
They're out of it no matter what, Russ. That's the thing. Like, it's got to be.
Who's showing up in Buffalo? Nobody.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen. No, I don't know.
No point.
I think when people are freed from their prisons, from their home prisons, people are going to go nuts. I think people are going to want to go out and do anything they can. And if they feel like it's safe,
I still think they're.
Hell, they're already going nuts. You got idiots. You got idiots in Buffalo and other cities who yesterday for St. Patty's Day were ignoring the public pronouncements of not gathering, and you had people getting loaded on green beer.
Yeah, but that's because it was St. Patty's Day. That's
I mean, a lot of so everybody's making all this hell about that it's going to be too hot. It's not too hot for ice in June, July, and August.
It's costly.
It's not great. It's not great, but it's not wonderful. But remember, LA and Vegas have teams. It's hot there all the time. Miami.
Yeah.
Brian Burke pointed out it costs $250,000 to get that machine in there with all the tubes.
Yeah. To the dehumidifiers, and I've seen that in person. Then
it's still the ice is sluggish.
Yeah, when the Marlies
it's not going to be fantastic.
When the Marlies won the Calder Cup 2 years ago, and I was on the ice at the end of the 7-game series, the ice was like a sponge. It was that soft. And
I think that here's what I think about that. I think this plays more into my concept of playing it in small practice rinks because. It is easier to keep a small practice rink in the right humidity and the right temperature than it is a stadium.
I'm not. It's going to be tough because again, depending on how far it's in, you got the doors. You do have 2 layers of doors, especially let's say we're using Voorhees for example.
Yeah.
Right? You got the main doors that come in and out, mostly sliders, and then you got the second level. But the ice is right at that level.
Right.
If you're at the arena, the rink is down a little bit.
Yeah.
That's my only concern is that you're right on level, warm air, and you're hitting the ice. I'm not sure.
No, I mean it's going to be tricky. I mean, you could be looking at something like I heard, for example, I heard this. This is another thing I heard today when I was talking. I was kind of spitballing with this guy from the NHL, and he's in New York, and he said, "Listen, the Devils have that great practice rink. Like they have a really nice practice rink.
I've been there. I saw the Isabel Cup there."
Right, it's what it seats. I don't know, it seats like 1,000 maybe.
That's it.
Yeah, but it's nice, and it's new, and it's got a lot of new equipment and stuff like that. I mean, that's a place that like the Rangers, Islanders, if you're not having any fans, the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils could all play there. That was the concept that he brought up.
I know, but I'm
going to place like that. You find the best rinks around that are with the best newest systems that can because I play open hockey in the summer and it's not hard. I play in pretty good ice sometimes. It's not always horrible.
Okay, but I'm going to just tell you that going back to old things like when the Rangers shared MSG with the Americans and everything else, the Rangers won't share with anybody. They're going to do it at their rink, or they're not going to do it. Like I'm just telling you,
probably will do it at their rink.
Yeah. Are they going to hold the Stanley Cup final at the Ford Performance Center? I mean,
no, you can't do it. I mean, if you're doing that, then there's no point in bringing back these other teams because you're not recouping money for your lost tickets anyhow. That way,
2014 play-in scenario might work best then because at least you don't know.
Just go straight to that.
I mean, it's more like to me, you don't have to bring back this. To me, I'm kind of like in my mind, the most likely thing is as much as everybody wants it to happen a different way.
Good. I want to point out Anthony did the right kind of cough there. Thank you.
Yes. Otherwise, all of you would.
As you know, what my wife does for a living. If I do it any other way,
you do.
I'm talking to you right now.
Right now. We haven't figured out yet whether you can get coronavirus from watching YouTube, but we think you're okay. So the one concept to me is like, I mean, the most likely scenario in my mind is that it's March right now. Okay, so we're gonna go through March. Nothing's gonna happen. Obviously, March is only 3 more weeks or 2 more weeks. I think we're gonna go through all of April too, with nothing happening. Right. And I think the playoffs will start in May.
Well,
I don't think there will be. I don't think they will play any of the rest of the regular season. I think
I agree. I think May is going to be it.
I think that's their dream, but I think they're going to sit there and they're going to say mid-May we're going to go to the playoffs. I think the playoffs will be shortened.
Well, the release that the NHL put out today, I mean, about allowing players to go back home and self-quarantining for 14 days. I mean, if you read between the lines, what it's saying is because the CDC released the 8-week window. They want to come back for a bridge training camp 14 or 15 days before the 60-day window. So they basically have the intention right now as of now.
I agree with you, Mike.
Hit the ground running at May 15th.
That is their intention. I just don't think that logically is going to happen. I think that them sending the players home is nothing, because honestly, what they're doing there is they're sending the players who live in hotels home. Basically, I mean, all the players who live in homes are fine, but a lot of guys, like I can tell you,
hotels they share.
Yeah, like the Rittenhouse in Philly, that hotel. There's 3 guys that live there. If you're 3 Flyers that live there, if you're living there. If you're living in a hotel, it's not safe right now. Like you're that's not quarantining yourself enough, really, because you got to go out to get food.
Too many people.
Well, you got to get food. You don't have you don't necessarily. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get people to go into homes where they have the most, amenities and stuff like that, where they'll be safer, where they'll be quarantined better.
Okay, so good example, Ek. So do we trust, as an example, Tony D'Angelo to stay on a 14-day quarantine at home? Is that realistic?
It's like,
obviously it's not.
Are you making a political statement here, Russ?
That's what we feel with everybody. I mean, it's like
to me.
I mean,
I'm just saying, it's unrealistic to think they're all going to do that like good boys.
Like, how do you? I mean, we all have to trust each other right now. Is all we can do, because it's like,
right.
I mean, eventually, like, you have to get gas or something like that, or you have to touch a gas tank, or you have to, go to a Wawa or pick up milk or something like that.
Yeah.
And everybody, you can't tell me that you're not going to run into somebody who's been exposed to somebody who's been exposed to it. It's just impossible.
Right. Are we going to go on Instagram in 2 weeks and see Michael Del Zotto somewhere other than home? I'm going to say, yeah. I'm going to say probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, but what is risky here, and they did say, some of these players are allowed to go back to their home countries. With the shutdown of travel to Europe.
That's the thing.
First of all, how are they getting back unless they're taking a cruise? And then 30 days down the road, how are they coming back from Europe? I mean, more than likely, these players are not going back to their home country.
I don't think with 14 days you're not going back to Europe. I mean, it's like they're going to live with a teammate somewhere, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. If they're not in a hotel, they're going to live with a teammate around here. They're going to go.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Russ, apparently went to Cabo.
Yeah.
But
let's say you stop all that. You think you're stopping hockey players for getting takeout at Chipotle? That's an impossibility.
Yeah, that's the problem. Having food delivered to you or whatever. Like, is that safer than not going to the restaurant?
You get enough places that are shutting down though right now, because we're having that now in terms of that's one.
Yeah,
offering takeout. Most are. Mine are here.
Restaurants are, and it's already. I read off the tweet to you guys already before pre-show. Hold on. That was the announcement for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And that was, 1 second, I'm just going to bring it up here. I texted my wife because she's in town today. It says the city of Philadelphia at 5 p.m. today will order all non-essential businesses shut down. And on Wednesday, will shut down all non-essential city services, according to council member Maria Quinones Sanchez. Philly mayor administrative officials just told other electives a plan on conference call.
Yeah.
So they might, again, the government's basically making it.
Okay, but as an example,
the big question is, will you be able to get beer? That's what my wife wants to know. Will you be able to get beer? Will you be able to get wine?
Again, it's a super
like Montgomery,
like an Acme, right? If you have an Acme or a place like that, they do sell. I mean, that's maybe.
Yeah, I'm in Montgomery County here, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, which is
they shut it.
But the wine places are still open right now.
No,
they're supposed to be getting shut. There were 4 that were shut down, and I'd expect. It should be pretty soon that most of the rest, which means we're probably going to see a run-on of people.
But they're going to say Dunkin' Donuts is essential. Like, you're going to be able to still go on your car and get takeout from Dunkin' Donuts. You're still going to be able to all those things. You're still going to be able to get gas.
Thomas Boyle brings up something in the chat that might be a game changer in terms of the playoffs, and that's the U.S.-Canadian border. I have somebody that is a Facebook friend Facebook friend who is a Canadian citizen but lives in the U.S. and goes to Canada. And when he came back from visiting, I think, relatives or something like that, he was told he had to self-quarantine for 14 days because he went into Canada for a couple hours. Now, I mean, obviously that's going to have an effect on me when it comes to covering Leaf games if they're, in this window right now of 60 to 90 days. and I don't know if that's even going to be possible, but how will teams get back and forth if they will not allow people to cross the borders?
They'll have an agreement. They'll say they've been self-quarantined, and you'll see teams will be allowed where regular people won't be. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, what kind of a playoffs are we going to have? Like that's the big question too. Like so say we come back just for the playoffs, and if we and somehow we do it based on, I guess we'd have to do it based on win percentage. It's the only way they could really do it.
I don't think they're doing that.
No, what I think they're going to do is, say the top 3 teams in each division are going to get in, and they will have they will eliminate any complaint from any team that was 2 or 3 points out of a playoff spot by expanding the playoffs to say 20 to 24 teams, and have like either a best of 3 or even a 2-game series where they don't have to travel and it's total goals or something like that. I've heard that proposal before, where it'll at least be fair.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a 1-game play-in for the 2 that are sitting outside the wild card, and then that whoever wins the play-in then is in the playoffs, and then they'll seed the playoffs. That's what I think they're going to do.
Here's why I don't think they do that, because why would you? It depends. If you're, I get that makes sense and that's fair, but also are you going to bring the entire organization? I mean, it's not just you're bringing back players, coaches, all this stuff for 1 game, like for some of those situations. You know what I mean? Like you're bringing back.
Yeah, they're all going to do it. Yes, for 1 game. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's risky. I think it depends on. We don't know where we're going to be with this thing.
Well, they're going to have a training camp, so what's risky?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You don't have to have a training camp if you just eliminate. If you just go to 8 teams in each conference now, those are the only teams.
They will have a training camp. That's the problem.
They will not risk the liability of coming back cold, going right into a.
No, they'll have a training camp, but I'm just saying you only have to have 16 teams in your have training camps. You don't need to have like if you set up playoffs right now.
That's the case.
What?
Well, I hope that's the case.
Well, but this is the thing. If the NHL right now is saying we're going to do our utmost to have a regular season, then that there are probably dissenters among the 31 teams right now that say, I'm a point out of the playoffs. I don't deserve to miss the playoffs because I'm a point out when you had to shut things down. So the only way around that, if you don't have a regular season, which I don't think is going to be possible, is by expanding the playoffs to cover those teams. They want at least the opportunity to advance.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't think they're going to bring back the playoffs to play to empty stands. I don't think that'll be the plan.
I think they will because I think they will. I think they will because they have there's money involved in it for NBC
advertising
there's money involved in it, and there's no sense not to. Like it in a way, it's almost like they could even come back and say, we're doing this for you, for the fans, like because we know that you're all bored out of your minds.
You're going back on what you said earlier that they don't want to have refunds. They'll have tons of refunds then from Gate.
They don't. What's difficult about this is we're talking in all different kinds of scenarios.
Let's talk simply. You're talking about if they play to no fans, then people who bought tickets will get refunded. Like, I don't think they want to do that.
No, they don't want to do that. They're going to be. They're not going to have a choice. That's going to be forced upon them one way or the other. They're either going to be able to do that
for the playoffs too. You realize it's not just the regular season.
Oh, I know, but they've already. I know, and that money. What'll happen is what's happened before is they'll just keep your money and they'll put it towards next year.
I mean, for season ticket holders, yes, they can do that. For people who bought individual game tickets,
they're going to have to refund.
You're going to have to refund them, but they're going
to have to refund or give them vouchers for next year, and then by some miracle there'll actually be people in the stands in Florida instead of
Flyers don't refund. The funny thing about the Flyers is I bought tickets for some reason for something that got canceled for a Flyers game where I got double charged and like that, and I have had this charge. Like they call me, and it's weird because I get calls from obviously people at the Flyers, and then I'll get calls from it'll come up Philadelphia Flyers, and I don't know which it is. So if it comes up Philadelphia Flyers, it'll be like, "Hi, this is John in the ticket office.
Right.
You have $25 here. Do you want to buy a ticket to that? Like that kind of thing all the time." And I'm like, "Could you send me that money back?" He's like, "No, it's not refundable." But I'm like, "But you double charged me." He's like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "I'm a writer. You want me to write about what you're doing here?" It's like it's funny. I mean,
I think saving the TV contract is a last resort, yes, but I do think they want to have fans in the stands for the playoffs because otherwise, then you're talking about a massive loss, not just a loss. They could live with the 17, whatever. How many home games are left for most teams? 5, 6. They can weather that. But teams that have budgeted for the playoffs and were expecting to be in the playoffs and already sent out the playoff letters and everything, if they have to lose on that, that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah, no, that is going to cause a problem. But I think that if you're at a point where they decide, okay, all these sports can only happen without fans, they're going to do that versus canceling the playoffs.
Right, but
so we have to talk in terms of, like some Flyers fan in the chat room says, this is all speculation. Why are you speculating? And I'm like, what else are we going to do? What else can you do? I mean,
I do have actual hockey news I could talk about.
We'll get into some actual hockey news next. But stuff like this is what we do. We're going to speculate. If you're going to watch the show, you're going to see speculation from now. And I'm just throwing out concepts, just different conceptual things, which is what the NHL is doing. Because I talked to somebody today, and that's why I'm bringing it up. They're throwing out all these different concepts too, like if this then that type stuff, which is what they have to do. I mean, there's just a business.
Well, you realize, all right. So let's just say you're right, and those fans that did send in their playoff money gets rolled over into their season tickets next year. Well, then next year's revenue is going to be affected right out of the gate. Right. Where if you do it the other way, next year's revenue isn't affected out of the gate.
Right.
And I think
one way or another.
I don't think they're in a choice. Like there's no question they want to play with fans.
I may not have a choice.
So it's like, to me, that's going to happen. If they can, they're going to play with fans. But if they can't, they're going to still play. And so that what I was told, and this is the options of still playing were kind of interesting to me. Like, okay, maybe we don't play in the major arenas because why would we do that?
And that follows Bettman's edict. That essentially the one thing that we want to do, by any possibility, is award the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, there has to be.
He does not want 2005 because of the lockout or 1919 because of the Spanish flu. He does not want the cup not handed out. So they're going to go to the nth degree to be able to get the season done. But if that means waiting until June, then it means waiting until June. But the one thing he did say when he was making comments on Friday, he does not want to affect next season. He wants to be able to start next season's training camp on time and start the season at the first week of October like they normally do, because then it has a domino effect. You can't put at a certain point there is a drop dead date.
Yes.
Yeah. No, there is for sure, and I think that'll be pretty obvious. But I think they'll stretch it out pretty far, and they'll let this go into July and August to do that.
And I apologize for using that term. I'm not talking about, obviously we're talking.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, the other thing that you have to take.
We should have the Stanley Cup award to be a Stratomatic, Drew. I appreciate that very much. I think that's a great idea. And our chat room says that, or we could do it via video. I mean, that's what I'm doing here today. That's what I did. Yes, I did this. I did over the night. I had hockey night in Pennsylvania. I had thousands of people watching. It was really cool. And
I've got a simulator at home too, a different game. I could do it. But here's what I also want to say, though, is if you do it and they decide to go back and play in front of empty stands, but the NBA doesn't and Major League Baseball doesn't, and they're the only league doing it, that could be a bad look too. You have to remember, if the other leagues aren't on board and they do it, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny involved with that.
Yes. And, now there's news that somebody from the Vancouver organization tested positive for coronavirus. I heard that, like, one of the workers, not like a player, but one of the people that work for the
they have a Sharks attendant do the same.
I mean, that's inevitable. That kind of stuff to me is inevitable. That if we tested people, we'd find people. We'd find so many more people.
There you go. Now, Tom, I told Thomas to stop. And, of course, he comes up with something that's very, very pertinent. Thomas Boyle in the chat says, Justin Trudeau just announced border closing to non-Canadians and non-permanent residents. So now that may be a 60-day. It may be. I don't think it's going to be permanent because.
Well, no, I hope not. I don't think Canada's going to off to the world.
Otherwise, you're talking to the new Sabres blogger.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very smart for Canada to totally isolate itself for the rest of the time.
I mean, it would say for us we won't get a lot of good beer, but other than that,
I feel suddenly unnerved that Canada's not an option for me. like with
now it finally hits you, Eck.
No, like I've always, with what's happening down here, with the government, I've always figured that Canada's an option for me at some point. I could work up there. I work in hockey. I'm sure I'd get a job.
I do have real NHL news if you
Let's
want.
talk NHL news, Russ. While I consider the fact that I'm stuck in America all of a sudden.
Sure, yeah. Now that I mean, in Warsaw, you're stuck in Upper Pennsylvania. But anyhow,
Trumpsylvania. But go on. Continue.
Jersey. Continue.
well, you're not in Pennsylvania. You're just before that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the New York Rangers signed Keandre Miller.
Nobody cares.
Well,
No, that's something.
Because
I love the business is getting done. I love that someo's doing something. Thank you,
right.
Reed.
And there's going to be
Purple version of Twitter right there. Nobody cares me.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know anything.
let Russ talk.
No, I love it. It's great. It's news for crying out loud.
It's real news. So
Thank God.
he's not going to go back to the University of Wisconsin. But these kinds of things now are going to take a different turn than in the past. As an example, he was going to be signed to an ATO and he would report it to Hartford. But now he's not.
Sorry.
Unless the world is ending, Mike, I'm going to continue to talk. So he was going to go on an ATO to Hartford, but obviously there is no Hartford, right?
Yeah, right.
So now other players like this that do sign, now you have to wonder what the team will do with them next year, because if they start him in Hartford, they're probably going to leave him in Hartford. I don't think he's ready for that. So maybe he'll have to go back to the OHL team that has his rights, because he can't go to college anymore, right? He's done with college. And maybe so the Saskatoon Blades are the team that has his rights. Maybe he goes there first, because again, now that the AHL season's been impacted, their teams are not going to get a look at these guys where they normally get 4, 5, 6 games to sort of decide where they are in their development. So now what we're talking about here is organizational development is now being affected because of these other leagues being shut down. So we're going to see more guys sign, but we're also maybe going to see a few of them go back where you wouldn't have thought they would either.
Yeah.
Because now those other things are going to be unsettled.
At least they would get
Good
some
point.
money signing their contracts, the signing bonus or something of that nature. Just to update, because Thomas, I'm banning you from ever doing any breaking news, because you only gave half the story. So you should feel safe here.
Can I pack the bags? Go. Can I get going?
CTV News reports Canada will close the border to those who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents, their immediate families, or American citizens. So
There you go.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, Canada. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Here you go.
Thank you. I
I'm still
appreciate
not going, but
He's
whatever.
banned.
it. I feel much better now. I do. I feel that was just not a good feeling for a second there.
So Thomas, you're banned.
No, well, thanks for that news, Russ. I mean, I appreciate that. I
And
do.
give us more real news when we get it, because we need other news.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you guys about so I got some beat. I played my all-time Flyers versus all-time Penguins on the weekend, and I had like a back-to-back doubleheader.
Okay.
So I had all-time Flyers versus all-time Penguins on Xbox, and then I made created all these players, all-time Canadians versus all-time Leafs, and that was the second game of the doubleheader, which was fascinating because the Leafs shut them out 4-0.
Turf Broda standing on his head.
He was incredible in that game. He was absolutely amazing. So for my all-time Flyers, I took a lot of heat, though. I went and talked to Anthony about this, like for my fourth line, because it's really tough to do. Like I had a rule that, you had to play at least 100 games to be included. And at first I didn't even put Peter Forsberg on my list, but then I realized if I have 100 games, Peter Forsberg probably gets on the list, because I think he was good enough as a Flyer to do that. Like he had one year where he put in a serious number of points for the Flyers. And but then your fourth line, like you get to like a situation of like Rod Brindamore or Rick McLeish, like tough questions you have to like ask yourself.
McLeish scored 50 goals, so
right. But Rod Brindamore was a captain and a serious player as well for the Flyers for a very long time.
That's a tough one.
Isn't that
I probably lean, as much as I love Rod, I probably lean McLeish.
You have to go McLeish. He's a way better scorer. Like at the end of the day,
I need that kind of push from my fourth, especially going up against the Penguins and the amount of players that the Penguins have in that offense. But you have to be able to match them offensively. And Rob was a very balanced player, but and maybe if this was a real actual game in this case, and you could strategically have him shut down.
Yeah, which you could. I mean,
that's your argument. But again, if it's sort of a game where you're just trading blows left and right, I think McLeish is offensive blows. You need McLeish.
Yeah, he's a top 5 scorer in the history of the Flyers. Like I'm going to sit him.
Yeah, no, I mean, all right. So then so now we go to Rod Brindamore versus Claude Giroux.
Probably Giroux in this case.
Well, where did you play
Again,
Giroux?
offensively, you have to match up.
Yeah, this is the I'm just looking for all time.
Where did you play Giroux? What was his?
I played Giroux on right wing.
So you played him as a winger.
Yeah, I mean he's been a right winger.
Okay, you know what? I still have to take Giroux over Brendan Moore then.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. And then, all right, so now Tocchet versus Brendan Moore.
Tocchet versus Brendan Moore.
I'll take Brendan Moore over Tocchet.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
That's
I
where
think in that case, that one I probably lean Brendan Moore.
And does Danny Briere play into this at all?
Well, I mean, it depends who you're deciding against.
Let's say we're staying with Brendan. We got Brendan Moore, so we're going Brendan Moore versus Briere because we're looking at our 12th forward now.
All right, is this Danny Briere playoff numbers or is this Danny
Briere as a flyer, just as a flyer?
Then he doesn't get in. If it's his playoff numbers,
if we're talking just playoffs, then Briere, but I think overall
Right.
career, probably Brendan Moore.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it was a fascinating game, honestly. Like the game was, it was very high scoring. Then in goal, I had the situation for the Penguins of Barrasso versus Marc-Andre Fleury.
Fleury.
I don't know. I had Barrasso play the
You
game.
had Barrasso over Fleury
I did.
for all the cups Barrasso won?
Yeah, Barrasso won a lot of cups.
He only won two.
Same.
He won
What
two,
was that?
and Fleury won more.
All right, okay. Maybe
As
I'm
a
wrong here.
starter, Fleury won 2, though, right? So they
Ilka Solo in the chat room.
What do you say here?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at somebody mentioned Funky Cole Santina mentioned Ilka Sinisalo on the all-time team.
I miss
I
him.
love Ilka, don't get me wrong, but come on.
I would take Fleury over Barrasso. I would.
Yeah.
Especially if you factor in interpersonal relations with the team.
Right. How about okay? So you take Fleury over Barrasso. All right. So backup goalie for the Flyers: Pelle Lindbergh or Ron Hextall.
Pelly. Oh, Pelly.
It's Pelle Lindbergh.
I'm going with Pelle too, but I
No, Hextall
Pelly's just.
Hextall because he could come off the bench and beat the crap out of that.
Instead of the two-way player in baseball, pitcher DH, we're talking about goalie and enforcer.
Goalie and enforcer, exactly.
right. That's true.
The only way you neutralize that, Anthony, is if the other team is playing Felix Potvin.
I will say this. I've seen them both play, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about Lindbergh was he was like a more elegant, perfect sort of position kind of goalie, where Hextall was like the really good goalie, but like was not in perfect position and was
Curtis Joseph. If you're going to get down to it, Curtis Joseph would better. I think I'll go with stick handler was Joseph. Not that much, right?
We're talking about Flyers.
Curtis Joseph but a much better stick handler.
Yeah.
You get the spectacular saves. The thing with Ron is that he had a brilliant begin to his career.
Yeah.
Then the injury, and then he was
For sure.
a middle of the pack.
Ask Ron how he did in the '94 playoffs against the Rangers.
All right.
Right.
With the Islanders, he gave up like I don't know.
I mean, this is the thing. I'm a Flyers goalie. This is my specialty. I think my specialty is Flyers goalies because I'm a goalie and I've been a Flyers fan all my life, and I've paid.
If you're asking me honestly, putting a gun to my head, it's going to be Pelly.
Yeah, like I would say Pelle too, and I will say this about Lindbergh and Hextall: they were both streaky. All right, Lindbergh had his moments where he was awful. Like he's my best. I mean, this is my photo of Pelle Lindbergh on the wall behind me here. I mean, that's how big of a Pelle Lindbergh fan I am.
Go through that, but he was a better positional goalie.
My painting of Pelle Lindbergh.
Lindbergh knew where to be on the ice. He was a good anticipator. Hextall could go off the rails, man.
Well, no, he could, but Hextall had moments when he was just dominant as well. They both had dominant moments. Hextall was very innovative for sure, and his ability to handle the puck did change the game a lot. I
agree with that.
I mean, it's between Hextall and then carrying that torch, Marty Brodeur, that like changed goalies forever, right?
You're talking about a backup who's almost never going to play anyhow.
Yeah, we got Bernie Perrant, right? So, yeah, obviously the backup's never going to play. I have Hextall on the team right now. I'm thinking of going to make a Lindbergh and put Pelle in the next game. The Penguins and Flyers play each other. Oh, here's my next question. Penguins. Rick Tocchet as a Penguin or Phil Kessel as a Penguin?
Kessel.
Yeah, it would be Kessel.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Kessel created so many matchup problems there.
Tocchet was important for those Penguins teams, but he
really was.
He was
right,
more.
But there were a lot of offensive. There were a ton of offensive options. He was like fourth or fifth
Tocchet was mostly third line muscle with
Right. At that
Kessel
point,
was top six scorer.
Whereas
He played a lot with Mario.
It was a number 3 and a number 3 with a bullet for the most part in this case. So,
yeah, but am I wrong to say that Tocchet played a ton with Mario, didn't he?
Not really. He has some, but not a lot.
Some.
I mean, I thought he did for sure. I'm trying to remember that. That's interesting.
I mean, he played with Recchi. He played with Yager at times. I mean,
right.
Yeah, no. I mean, Tocchet was like I said. Tocchet was mostly he was a protector of the star players, whereas Kessel. I mean, you have to say he was number 3 behind Crosby and Malkin. I mean, he was an alternate
92-point season with him.
Yeah.
Here's my next question for you guys. Ready? Jim, on Flyers defense, my first 5 were pretty easy because Pronger played over 100 games with the Flyers, so he ends up in stuff. Hold on 1 second.
Your mom calling you for dinner, Rack? Like we didn't.
I'm getting yelled at. 1 second. Hold on. Time out. What's going on?
Meatloaf.
You guys all right? All right, thanks. Okay.
Don't you have walkie-talkies in that house?
Yeah, I know.
It's the bunker within the bunker.
My wife's working at home as well, and fortunately we have our offices about as far away from each other as we can because you got to just get space from each other, and it's pretty hilarious. So anyway, so that's what this is so funny. All right. My top 5 defensemen for the Flyers. Remember my list. They have to play at least 100 games, and it had to be as you're not looking at them as an overall player. You're looking at them as how good they were with the team you're looking at. So like Pronger was maybe better with other teams still, but he had a really good over 100 games with the Flyers too. So so my top 5 were Howe and McCrimmon, Pronger and Timonen, and Desjardins. I think those 5 are pretty set. Like
what about Moose DuPont?
No, I mean,
DuPont was good. Jimmy Watson was really good.
You got to have one of the Watson brothers. Have to.
I thought of the 2, but so then I come down to this. Watson, I think Watson is the best of those other. Like I take Jimmy Watson. I think over Joe.
Well, it depends what you're looking for. Joe had a little more offense. Jimmy was better defensively.
Yeah,
or Ed Van Imp.
Or Ed Van, and I think I take either of them over Ed Van Imp a little bit.
You gotta have one Watson. You do.
You do need a Watson.
But then also you've got Provorov.
It's
not far there yet. We're not far along yet.
Nope.
Okay.
I would vote for Brad. I would vote for Brad Marsh.
2 years at this level, we begin that.
No, but here's the thing. Okay, guys, don't look at. I know the way we usually look at these kind of things, and so we're going to take this. I'm going to stretch reality for a second. The way we usually look at these things is okay. Provorov hasn't established himself enough. Obviously, to be considered one of the greatest Flyers defensemen of all time, yes, I agree with that. But that's not how we're looking at this. We're looking at this like everybody in their prime is healthy to go right now, and you're putting your team on the ice. I think Provorov is better than the Watsons.
I don't think
but Kimo Timonen is better than Provorov.
Right. No, he's on the team already. So
you didn't mention. I didn't hear.
Howe and McCrimmon are my top pairing.
Right.
My second pairing is Pronger and Timonen.
Oh, okay.
And then my third pairing is Desjardins and someone else. People brought up Steve Duchesne, who was pretty good, but not really. Not really. In that field.
You said Desjardins on the team or not?
Yeah. Desjardins.
Pronger, and McCrimmon.
So you're looking at that 6th defenseman, which is, it's tricky because the Watsons were good. Both Jimmy and Joe were good. DuPont was really good in his time. You have guys like
somebody said Ben Wilson.
Ben Wilson was fun because he fought.
Brad Marsh was a stay-at-home defenseman.
Bob Daly was a good defenseman too.
But number 4 on the all-time Flyers scoring defenseman list is Tom Blayden.
Tom Blayden, who got ripped in Philly all the time, but was a good defenseman. Like they booed him mercilessly.
Number 4.
Yeah. No, I mean he should have been. I like someone brought up Adam Burt. All right. Howe's on there, obviously. I know. So to me, that was it was a tough one to go with Howe and McCrimmon.
What's funny is Gostisbehere is 6th all time in points as a defenseman.
Yeah. I just think that Provorov is if all these guys are in their prime, And I'm also, it's tough because you have to say in
I
their
have to say
prime.
Ulf Samuelson because I see him all the time. But go ahead.
Well, Ulf Samuelson was on the Penguins. Okay, so
Shell Samuelson.
Shell. I'm sorry, Shell. Thank you.
Shell. I don't put him up there. I mean, I like Shell a lot, but
I know I want you to say it because I see him all the time. Thank you for saying that.
yes. Oh, all right. Thanks.
I don't want to tell
Did
him.
I tell you my Shell Samuelson story? I got a really good Shell Samuelson story.
You're
all right,
Russ.
So I'm sorry, Mike. Mike's like, oh, great. He's going to tell us Shell Samuelson story. All right. No, so I was.
All tails.
I went to an open hockey session. Captain EO and I headed to an open hockey session, and at that time the Phantoms were practicing before the open hockey in that rink was allowed. So we're getting dressed, and the Phantoms were still on the ice practicing, and Samuelson was skating with the Phantoms for some reason. I guess he was maybe coaching, or he was a coach of theirs. So we go out afterwards, and a couple of the Phantoms come back out, and Shell Samuelson comes back out, and they start playing with us in this like open hockey game. It's really funny. So then I was the only goalie. So they did that like half court thing where you have to bring it back to the blue line and come back in, which is totally exhausting. Like as a goalie, it's like you're constantly on, but it's like, and I'm playing, and there were a lot of AHL players, and just like Eric and I and a couple other jerks who were there and then real serious players. And I was just beat up, exhausted. And at one point I was just like, I let it go in. I was just lying. Shell Samuelson's like yells at me, "Get up, goalie," grabs me by one arm and just lifts me up like I'm a feather. Drapes me over the crossbar and it's like, "We're going to keep playing now." I'm like, oh, jeez. That was rough. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. He's a big guy, very strong guy, very strong. So my lines for the Flyers were Lindros, Leclerc, and Recchi, and I had a debate about this. They did because Recchi, that line was never a line, wasn't it? Because Recchi and Leclerc weren't there at the same time.
Right, it was never a line
because they were never there together, right?
No, because you had what's his name?
Didn't Recchi come back for a bit? I was trying to remember that. Anyway, maybe he didn't.
Recchi, but you still had the Legion of Doom for most of their existence.
Right. I didn't put on Renberg, who would be
the only problem was when Renberg got the fishing hook in the foot, then he was out for a while.
Right. So Lindros, Leclerc, and Recchi. The second one I did was Clark, Leach, and Barber, obviously the LCB line, which is
you can't break that up.
Right. And then I had Kerr until someone brought up to me that Forsberg had played that many games. So I actually texted Dave Poulin and said, "You're being replaced by Peter Forsberg," and he laughed at that. Actually,
I want to tell you, to be fair, the LCB line should be the top line because Clark was a way better face-off guy than Lindros.
Yeah, that's true. I'm good with you on that one. I got you on that.
I mean, he did cheat on most of them, but he still was better.
Yeah. So and then the Penguins lines were fun because I had Lemieux, Yager, and Recchi. So Recchi played for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do it.
Yeah, he definitely was. He was at least the all-time. He holds the record for points in the season by a Flyer. Yeah. I mean, you got to play him. Then the second line was Crosby and Malkin. And who are you going to play Malkin with all time? Who are you going to play them with all time?
Oh, Crosby and Malkin on the same line?
I put them together because because my third line was Ron Francis.
They're both centers. You can't do it.
But if you had Ron Francis if you had Lemieux, Crosby, and Francis, you got to play all three of those guys.
So Ron Francis is your fourth line center. You're the
right. Ron Francis is the fourth.
You also have like LaRouche. LaRouche. Remember him?
No.
LaRouche could put on the wing. That's the guy you put on the wing.
Rick Keogh, who scored 50 goals for.
No, but I'm playing Crosby and Malkin together because they know each other. Like in this,
you can't do that though.
That's bastardizing the whole thing. Come on.
I don't.
No, it's not. Yes, Crosby and Malkin do play together sometimes.
That's like playing Sittler with Wolf Paymont instead of Lanny McDonald.
Yeah, I mean, Pierre actually played the wing. Sidney Crosby.
All right, well, tell me who you play on that line. With if just assuming you have to play somebody else with Crosby and Malkin, who would you put there? All time. You got Joey Mullen, pretty good player.
He's a right winger.
And you've got Kevin Stevens.
Blaine Stoughton.
You've got Kevin Stevens, right?
Stevens would be the guy.
That's who I put there. Yeah, I thought Stevens was the guy there.
Yeah, I would put Stevens with Lemieux and Yager.
And put Recchi with Crosby and Malkin?
That's probably better, actually. Mike's right.
That's true, because Stevens played with Lemieux and Yager. That's true. Right. I should have done that. You're right. I will fix that.
But Malkin and Crosby cannot be together.
I just want to give you a pro tip: when you do the Rangers team, don't put Kevin Stevens on it.
I need your help, Russ.
And don't put him on line with Don Murdoch.
Please, that's a whole other joke. Let's not go there.
I need your help with the Rangers team, Russ, because I went to them tomorrow actually. So
yeah, but you asked for my help on the Leafs, and you didn't listen to me. That's BS. Like I used your Leafs team exactly as you told me to, without putting Matthews in.
I did not. Matthews did not.
Okay. No, then if you didn't, then that's fine.
Matthews did not play in the game, even though I got a lot of heat for it. I did play that directly.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to put him back in the game when they play again, but I didn't play him in that game.
Okay.
Because, but and those guys, Conacher and all those guys.
Let's hear the Rangers team.
Yeah. We'll definitely go through that.
He hasn't done it yet, Russ.
Because tomorrow I'm going to do the rate. Tomorrow, today I did my block today is the all-time Edmonton Oilers versus the all-time Calgary Flames. And tomorrow we'll get into, and I'll go through that real fast, you guys, before we get out of here. Tomorrow we'll go through the Islanders and the Rangers, and I'm going to have them play each other tomorrow night. So I'm gonna have to do that. That'll be a fun one.
Gillies, Trache, Bossy. There you go.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a good one. So
I already simmed the 72 Islanders against the 72 Rangers. Listen, you'd be surprised how that series went. It's on Sportsology if people want to see it. But Mike, you would be surprised how that went.
Yeah.
If the Rangers didn't win,
I think it's going to be really interesting.
I'm sorry, the 84 Islanders. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I'm talking about 72 Islanders.
I know.
Yeah, 72 Islanders were pretty bad.
No, not the first year. Sorry.
So all-time Oilers really fast because this is not that hard to do. All-time Oiler forwards: Gretzky, Messier, Curry, McDavid, Draisaitl, Glenn Anderson.
Draisaitl
is unquestionably an all-time
Not
Oiler.
fine. I can live with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, he is. No, Ryan Smith, Esa Tikkanen, Doug Waite, Craig Simpson, Alice Hemsky, and Craig McTavish.
I have a problem with Craig Simpson. I think
his best years with Pittsburgh.
I think Mike Krasinski is
Krasinski.
Craig the Crusher. I think he was better. Trying to think if you've left somebody.
I mean, I think if you can look at my blog, it has it on there if you want to.
Yeah, I can look at the rest. I just think Simpson didn't belong. Behind the mic, sure.
All right, so all-time Oilers defenseman. I'm okay. I mean, Simpson, yeah, definitely. I mean, because the Oilers drop off pretty fast for their fourth line. Like, they're pretty big drop-off. All-time defenseman for the Oilers. Let's compare the all-time Oilers forwards versus the all-time Calgary Flames forwards, okay? Here's the all-time Calgary Flames
first before we get off track.
What was that?
Let's do the defenseman first before we get off track.
Do the defenseman first? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, the all-time defenseman for the Oilers, Coffey Huddy, Kevin Lowe, Jason Smith, Luke Richardson, and Clefbaum.
I don't think
you can't put Clefbaum on there. Come on.
And you can't put Clefbaum on there. My God.
I'd put
Chris Pronger on there for the couple seasons.
He didn't play 80 games for the Oilers.
Yeah, but they got to a Stanley Cup.
The only reason they got to a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Though.
I know, but I have to cut it off somewhere. So I'm like, he played 80 games.
I'd put Lee Fogel in ahead of Luke Richardson.
Yes.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Where would you put Steve Smith on this list?
Smith is his number 6 defenseman.
Yeah.
Steve Smith?
Clefbaum, or Steve Smith replaces Clefbaum. So Jason Smith and Steve Smith.
All right.
I live with that. That's fine.
Goalies all time, pretty easy. Grant Fuhr, Billy Ranford.
How about Moog?
Yeah, Andy Moog is better than Ranford, I think.
I think so.
Yes.
You know what's interesting? You know who does the best, really unbelievable numbers for the Oilers, and he played a ton of games for them, and is Tommy Salo.
Yeah, Salo was an excellent goalie. It's just
I felt like he didn't have a lot of luck there, but he had his numbers are better than Ranford's or Moog.
I know, but he was not good in crunch time in big game.
Yeah, ask Team Sweden that.
Well, people went nuts because I first put on Fuhr and Salo just to get a rise out of people because I knew people.
Remember, he's a picture of him ducking on a stamp. I mean,
yeah, but people on Twitter were overwhelmingly like it's got to be Fuhr and Ranford. But I think
I think Moog is better. If you look at Andy Moog, is better.
And honestly, I think I mean, I know wasn't there for long, but Cujo's years in Edmonton, he was spectacular.
No, that's true.
He was good. But Mike's a Cujo mark, so don't go by that.
Oh, stop.
So they're going Joseph. They're going Sal. I'm trying to think. People in the chat room, I like your ideas. Smith over Richardson. Okay, I'm looking at this. Jason Smith is on this already. He's one. Yeah, he's definitely one of the 4.
Yeah.
Peter Klima is an interesting name. I thought about him.
He's an interesting one.
I don't know. Maybe Peter Klima over Craig Simpson. What do you think?
Yeah, I could. Well, I mean, I would look up him and Krasinski. I think Krasinski's better than
Krushelniski.
I'll look up Krushelniski.
However you pronounce it, whatever.
All right, so now the Calgary Flames. This is the forwards. This is interesting. Iginla, obviously, Theo Fleury, Joe Nieuwendyk, Gary Roberts, Doug Gilmour, Ulf Nielsen, Hakan Lube, Joey Mullen, Joel Otto, Gaudreau, Monahan, and Lanny McDonald.
I don't know if I can put. I mean, how many good seasons is Gaudreau and Monahan?
Gaudreau's got a point a game, Mike. Almost.
He's already done really well in his career. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Even though he's fallen off a little bit at times, he still doesn't fall off that far.
He's still 0.96 points per game. I looked him up recently.
Monahan's up there too. Like when you look at the leading scorers for the Calgary Flames, or leading point per game guys who played like 300 games or whatever, Monahan's like right up at the top practically.
Yeah.
So you got it.
I think that's pretty solid. I'm sure there's somebody everybody will think of that they say.
I tried. I mean, then I put out there originally. Who did I have on there? I had somebody else besides Lane. Oh, I had Dan Quinn, Mike Bullard. There's 2.
Mike Bullard's better years were in Pittsburgh, though.
Yeah. And Mike Bullard. I didn't even think about him with Pittsburgh, but he was. Both played for the Flyers too, Quinn and Bullard. But I think and I kept Lanny McDonald off originally, but I had to put him back on. So
no, you have.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
I know. It was absolutely just an oversight by me. Maybe because he's also on that. He's on that the Toronto team. So
actually, Mike, I had to look it up.
They can be on.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to correct myself, I did 72 Rangers, 82 Islanders. Okay, move on. Sorry. Just so people don't think I'm nuts.
So somebody's saying, let's see, who else is in the chat room? We've got someone saying Riseborough, Doug Riseborough.
Doesn't move the needle.
Daddy Nylander.
I honestly, the only one I could think of who was an important part of their team that won the cup was Jim Poplinski.
That's true. So if you're going to put that all-time forwards of Edmonton versus the all-time forwards of Calgary, you're going to go with Edmonton, right? I mean, they're
it's not even close.
Well, Messier, Gretzky, yeah.
No, but the interesting thing is, I mean, the bottom 6 are probably better.
You're not going to win the series on a bottom 6,
right? I do think Calgary's defense is better.
Yeah. So Calgary's defense: Al McGinnis, Gary Suter, Giordano, Jamie McCown, Dion Phaneuf, and Robin Regeer.
No Pekka Radicalio?
Nope.
No, but that is a better defense. I agree.
I think that's a pretty solid defense. I mean, here's where I wanted to put what's his name on there, whose son is playing now. Jeez.
Paul or even Reinhardt?
Yeah. Between Reinhardt and Regeer.
He had great seasons, but he had too many injuries, so he could never sustain it.
Yeah.
That was his problem.
Yeah.
His back killed his career.
He did, and I think it's going to be a kind of an interesting. I mean, Gary Suter was amazing. No questions asked about that. People were talking in the chat room. He was like Kirk Maltby. That's good. I like some good names in the chat room. Then my goalies for defense, I'm with you, Mike. I'm going Calgary. I'm going Calgary's defense. I mean, with the exception of Coffey and Huddy, people don't give Huddy enough credit too. Huddy was a heck of a defenseman. But with the exception of Coffey and Huddy, I'll take the other Calgary Flames defensemen.
If you counted Atlanta Flames, you could put Dan Bouchard in there.
I am counting Atlanta Flames actually, but I didn't. You think he's ahead of those guys? Any of those guys on that list?
No, I mean Vernon won a cup and Kiprusoff was great, so I'd probably go with them. But I'm just saying he deserves a medal.
Yeah, Bouchard's a really interesting. I thought about him too. I mean, to me, Vernon and Kiprusoff, Trevor Kidd, with good names. There's some great Calgary. Calgary's had a lot of crazy goalies over the years. Trevor Kidd wasn't terrible at all, but he was just so tomorrow we'll get into the Islanders and Rangers all-timers. And tonight I'm going to play the Calgary Edmonton game. So if you guys want to just stay tuned to my Twitter, I'll tweet it out there when I'm going to play it. And I've also had some requests to play another game with Flyers, Penguins, another game with Leafs and Canadians. So I might do that too.
There's one name. Hold on, Ek.
Okay.
I think you have to put Tom Lysiak on the team if you're going to include the Atlanta Flames.
All right,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Or Guy Chouinard.
Lysiak's a forward, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got to be better. He had 431 points.
Look at Guy Chouinard's stats.
Well, he's not as good as Lysiak. I can tell you that.
Is he better than Kent Nielsen?
No.
Okay. Better than Gary Roberts?
No.
So who are we putting him on here for? Like, we got Iginla, Fleury, Neuendijk, Roberts,
Monahan.
Gilmore.
It'd probably be Monahan. I mean, Lysiak had 431 points.
Yeah, maybe Monahan. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Guy Chouinard had a 50-goal, 107-point year in 79, and he had 70-point years.
But he was only 294 points.
Okay. Interesting.
575 career points.
No, but only 294 with Atlanta.
Oh, with Atlanta. Okay.
Lysiak was almost a point a game, 431 and 445.
Mm-hmm.
With Atlanta, you got to remember, with Atlanta,
yeah,
that's impressive.
That was really impressive. That's a good point. I got to think about that one. Do you think? So the goalies, who's the better goalies? Who's got the better goalies? Ranford and Fuhr, Kiprasov, and Vernon.
I actually, for the tandem, I like Calgary better.
So do I.
Yeah, I do too. Kiprasov was really good, and
Fuhr is a better one goalie, but I like the tandem of Calgary better.
Yeah, I mean, Fuhr was a better game goalie. But so was Vernon, though. I mean, that's what I wrote in my blog today. That people don't realize how good that Calgary team was because of how good that Edmonton team was.
Yeah, Vernon gets a short end of the stick. There's no question. But I think we have to remember, even with Fuhr on the Blues, he was still great.
Yeah, he was still great. He was fast.
He wasn't great in Toronto. He wasn't great in Buffalo.
I know, but even early in his career, his quickness for the kind of hockey that was being played in that era was amazing. Like that was the thing that because people were skating so there was such an all offensive type of game. He was way as good as that. The Oilers could win a game 6-5, and Fuhr could be the star of the game, which was crazy. Like that, and that was just the reality because he would make 2 or 3 saves that were just ridiculous.
Except for the miracle in Manchester.
Well, sure, but
I do have to announce a retirement. Can I do that? Right. So Jonas Hiller has retired. I guess he was playing elsewhere. He's 38 years old. He played 404 games with a .914 career save percentage. Yeah. He was a hell of a goalie. He really was
a nice guy too. Like,
well, the funny thing,
him during the All-Star. He was at that. Well, he did one All-Star game. He was on the All-Star team.
The funny thing is that Jonas Hiller actually retired 3 years ago, but he never told anybody, and that's why he stopped stopping pucks.
He stopped. He was just playing this past year for EHCBLBN in Switzerland.
Wow.
El Guapo says he thinks that it was El Guapo. Was it El Guapo who said it? And somebody said it. I think was it? Man, you guys are moving fast. It's pretty cool. El Guapo said that he thinks that the Blues would have won the Stanley Cup if Grant Fuhr had stayed healthy that year. That's possible.
That's possible. Here's something about
John Casey was the goalie, I think.
Yeah. Here's something about Hiller we might not remember. In 17-18, he had the best goals against in the Olympics, 1.14, and the best save percentage in the Olympics at a 9.50.
He was crazy in that Olympics. Remember that?
You forget that. I mean, he was a top goalie.
No, he was an all-star goalie for the Ducks. I mean, he was when you talked to him, Russ, I'm sure, not like a hockey player.
Yeah.
He wasn't a hockey player. Like when you talked to him, did you get that impression?
He was a nice, sweet guy, man.
He was like a geeky guy with glasses who talked to you like
he was a smart guy.
Very smart guy. It did not seem at all like he was an athlete. He felt like he was like working for Microsoft or whatever. He was funny though, but he was really funny.
08-09, he had a .943 save percentage in the playoffs for the Ducks.
Yeah, well, and then he won. That was the year he went to that was the All-Star game in Atlanta, I think.
Right, .943.
Yeah. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, he was
nuts in the playoffs.
He was really good. I mean, that team. I mean, that Ducks team was a couple of those Ducks teams were very good. I mean, the Ducks could have won more than they did.
We forgot about Hiller. You know, he was
he was got kind of swelled up because Jaguar came on. Like Jaguar came on so full and just like took over.
Yeah, he was a
tough Jaguar before him. Jaguar before him.
No, he was the transition goalie.
He was the transition guy, yes.
But after Jaguar and before Anderson and
after Jaguar, right. But Anderson came on, but Anderson and Hiller split time for a long time there, right? And then they
did. There was times when Hiller had post-concussion, I think.
Right, that's right. So I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, we're
going to see more of those, unfortunately, because of the situation now. there are going to be a ton of guys that may just decide whenever hockey resumes around the world that they may be done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like,
or they might decide if you're hanging out with their families for like 2 solid months that they want.
Let me ask you this, because you've seen the guy. As an example, if there were no hockey season, if it ended, is Justin Williams going to come back for another one? I don't think so.
Such an interesting case because
I know.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Will he come back? I don't know.
Well, I mean, some of these like guys like Joe Thornton.
Won't tell me that. I know.
guys like Joe
I told you that. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm on the beach, and he's like, I like see him. Hey, what's going on? He's on the beach because they go to the same beach we are. He's like down the block. I see him. I say hi to him. This is this summer when he wasn't sure whether he was playing or not or whatever. Yeah. And then I get a tweet. I read a tweet that he's decided not to play, and he's sitting over there. And I go over to him and I'm like, "What the hell, man?" It's like,
guys like Joe Thornton and Jason Spezza and Williams may not want to end their career on that note, so you have to factor that in.
Yep, I know that's the thing, right? You don't know. All right, so I guess that was fun, guys. As always, we really enjoy you guys watching. We want to keep doing this to try to help bring some fun to the thing. I'm going to be doing the games later on Twitch and Hockey Buzz as well. You can watch them there. I think that's a lot of fun. And get into Twitch so you can get in the chat room and talk to me. I'm working on a way that I can do those games with more than one camera so that I can get like Mike and Russ involved in them, and it'd be fun to watch too. But for now, I can only do one camera at this point. But we'll figure that out too. I'm still learning how to do that, but it's fun. So remember, guys, without the buzz, it is just hockey. Please stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.